When it comes to MVP voting, 80% of the voters are white American. 20% are others. I'm watching Jokic pass the ball, and I'm watching his guys catch and shoot, no hesitation, good or bad shot.
Are you sitting here and saying Nikola Jokic is having his numbers padded?
Kendrick Perkins is becoming unhinged. He's ignorant of his own privilege. The ESPN analyst has shared his opinion that we must question if white NBA players only win MVPs on the basis of a racial bias in the voting pool. He had hoped the media would better support his race bait. Instead, fellow analyst JJ Redick embarrassed him on ESPN. Charles Barkley then slammed him for his desperation. Perkins has not handled the backlash well. He spent an afternoon on Twitter fighting with trolls, deleting tweets, and retweeting random accounts that diminish the success of white players. Perkins then suggested that those who criticize him for his reckless rant on white athletes are children of entitlement and privilege. But again, the reaction was not as he hoped. He quickly deleted the tweet after a classic ratio. According to Perkins, he handled his segment with Redick the way he did because, unlike some people, meaning white people, he doesn't have the same privilege. However, he deleted that tweet too.
Man, delete it, bro. Delete it.
He was ratioed anew. It's particularly mockable to see someone cite white privilege when it comes to speaking on television about the NBA on ESPN. And yet, he did it again. Not so long ago, Kendrick Perkins sparked controversy in the 2022-23 season by asserting that Nikola Jokic is winning the MVP award because white MVP voters are biased against players of color. Hearing those arguments, JJ Redick immediately claimed that Perk implied with his allegation that NBA MVP voters are racist.
The implication, what you are implying, that the white voters that vote on NBA are racist. They favor white people. You just said that. Yes, you did. Yes, you did. Yes, you did. That is exactly what you implied, Kendrick Perkins. That is exactly what you implied. Secondly, hold on.
I did not call. I stated the facts. And you're not about to sit up.
We all know what you implied the other day. We all know what you implied just now.
Charles Barkley has also attacked Perkins, saying the ESPN personality was wrong to suggest Nikola Jokic's 2 MVP awards are the product of racism.
You know, I always talk about ESPN disease. A lot of these guys, when they get on TV, instead they're like, well, I'm on ESPN. I gotta say something provocative. And you know the thing about it, you're always gonna get some fools out there. You guys probably got some fools calling in agreeing with him. Yeah. Does he know how many voters there are who are white actually? Or he just pulled 80% out of his ass?
Yeah, he did. He did, because it's not 80%. It's not 80%. It's more like 68%.
Okay. But my point is, if only 5 white guys have won MVP in the last 30 years, that makes 0 sense, his argument. 0 sense. Because if that was the case, we'd have a lot more white MVPs if white guys or girls, ladies, excuse me, I don't want to leave them out. If they're only going to vote for white guys for MVP, wouldn't the numbers be like, instead of 6 out of the last 30, wouldn't the numbers be like way, way worse? And this is what bothers me also. Man, race is such a touchy subject.
Yeah.
Because very few people have a pure heart is what I call it. We can talk about race as much as you want to, as long as you're going to be fair and honest. But to slander this man in this situation is just total BS.
The 2008 NBA champion has now publicly stated his disagreement with Redick, insisting that he is not in any way a racist. Justifying his claims, Perkins recalled how, while never having desired to vote previously, he fervently wanted to see a black president take charge of the United States. According to Perkins, supporting someone of one's own kind does not automatically make one a racist.
The only problem that I have with JJ is when he said, I accuse people of being racist. I never accused nobody of being racist, bro. Like, accusing somebody, and correct me if I'm wrong, racist is that you hate someone of another color. I told JJ off record, bro, when Obama ran for president, I know black people out of my community that never voted in their life. Me, personally, I never voted in my life. You know, I rushed to go vote for Obama because I actually wanted to see a black president in office. Does that make me racist? Does that make a black person racist? No. But just because you may be rooting for someone of your own kind doesn't make you a racist.
How did JJ Redick insinuate Kendrick Perkins? Perkins desperately backed Joel Embiid to win the MVP award for the first time over Jokic, winning the award for the third consecutive season. The 38-year-old then brought out how white players like Steve Nash, Dirk Nowitzki, and Nikola Jokic were handed MVP awards despite finishing their respective seasons outside the top 10 in points per game. Redick was motivated to present supporting evidence for his stance and address Kendrick's perspective. The former guard said Perkins' thesis concerning voters and white MVP winners left out players before the 1990 season. Redick implied that despite Magic Johnson winning the NBA Most Valuable Player title in 3 seasons, 1987, 1989, and 1990, he didn't rank in the top 10 in terms of points scored per game in 2 of those campaigns. The emergence of dominant European players has increased the numbers and profile of Caucasian players in the NBA, which is still dominated by African American players. While the NBA's global expansion was once viewed as a positive thing, it's viewed negatively by domestically born players who feel squeezed out by the invasion, and the attitude is starting to permeate throughout the NBA. Even the feel-good victory by Mac McClung in this year's slam dunk contest by some observers, who claim that he received more attention due to his skin color, and major media outlets are happy to fan those flames. Bobby Barack of Outkick.com wrote a scathing article regarding the controversy swirling about Kendrick Perkins. He believes that the network as a whole is to blame. ESPN underwent a racialization following the death of George Floyd in 2020. Race has plagued the decision-making at the network since. Perkins is a symptom. The network created a culture that openly accepts and rewards racism toward white players. ESPN gave Mark Jones a contract extension after spewing hate towards white police officers, white politicians, and white athletes. ESPN deploys Mark Jones to call NBA games with Jokic and Luka Doncic, 2 players he trolls on Twitter, for obvious reasons. Perkins is digging his hole even deeper every time he opens his mouth. What can you expect from a guy who said he could easily guard Giannis? That's right, he thinks that he could easily hang with the league's current players. Perk bitingly admits, the only 2 people that would give me problems are Jokic and Embiid. It is quite obvious that Perk regards the prowess of players like Nikola Jokic and Joel Embiid to be more prominent. Surprisingly, Perk scraped off the Greek Freak's name from the list of players that could be difficult for him.
Now, guys playing on the low block, the only 2 people that would give me problems is Jokic and Embiid. Hell, to be honest, Giannis wouldn't even give me no work on the low block. Now,
Perk's choice was indeed a shocker, because Antetokounmpo has proven his worth on the court time and time again. The Greek Freak over the course of 10 NBA seasons had won as many MVPs and titles as Jokic, and won more than Embiid. Granted, titles and accolades don't necessarily translate into skills. However, Antetokounmpo's player stats are immaculate. This season, the Bucks MVP outdid himself with 31.1 points per game, 11.8 rebounds, and 5.7 assists. As he says,
and on top of that, Ron, I seen better. Like, you got to realize, I'm going against guys like Yao Ming, Shaq, Tim Duncan, Rasheed Wallace, Vin Baker, Jermaine O'Neal. Like, you had to defend.
Perk believes that he comes from a generation that could guard anyone, even giants like Shaquille O'Neal. The Greek Freak is a 7-time NBA All-Star who led the Milwaukee Bucks to their 2021 championship win. Antetokounmpo was the first player to finish a regular season in the top 20 of all 5 statistics, including total points, rebounds, assists, steals, and blocks. But Kendrick Perkins can guard him. Yeah, right. Privilege is getting away with matters that would cost others their careers, and ESPN allows Perkins without consequence to spew baseless racial hysteria that borders on racism. Can you imagine if a white analyst said that Lamar Jackson benefits from a primary black NFL television media? Fired before the end of the segment. Canceled for life. Ultimately, Perkins has proved to be a poor hire by ESPN. He's not intelligent enough to produce cohesive arguments. His thoughts are unorganized. He's territorial about white players competing on an overwhelmingly black league. There's evidence to suggest he's a racist. Perkins doesn't have the maturity to handle himself like a professional in the aftermath of backlash he incited. Posting deranged tweets, deleting them, and threatening to blackmail critics shows a man unstable emotionally. But he's in luck. ESPN fears reprimanding him. The network fears the inevitable backlash it had received for toning down a black man for spewing racial animosity. As baseless as his grievances are, it's called privilege. Hope you enjoyed the video, guys. What do you think about Perkins' take? Let me know in the comments below. Oh, and don't forget to like the video and subscribe to our channel for more amazing NBA content. Thanks for watching.